Have you ever been amazed by a friend who says, I put up a website and I let it sit there and then I got an email from someone that actually bought from me. I've never met them before. I have no idea where they got me. They just found my site and they purchased. I love the internet. Now, if you've ever heard someone say that before, maybe you're a little bit amazed and maybe you're a little bit frustrated by why someone else's site is working so well and you're still having trouble with yours. Let's cover that for just a minute. Let me give you a little scenario of what the internet looks like today. Let's start with company number one. So with company number one, they head out online and they decide that they need a web presence. So they head to a local company or they head to something online, a template-driven type system, and they go ahead and they create a website, probably much like you've done today. And with that website, they've actually created something that has approximately 5 pages. Pretty much standard is what you'll find from a lot of different organizations from place to place. When you search online, you'll find 5 typical pages, which includes your homepage and then a services or a products page, whatever you need to describe what you do in somewhat of a manner in a few paragraphs. Then you might find some testimonials or maybe an FAQ page if you have a lot of content that you need to get across to your customers. And then, of course, you have to put in there an About Us page, describe yourself a little bit and why you're in this business in the first place. And then, of course, your Contact Us page where you list your phone number, your email, maybe your physical address if they can come to your location, and maybe even a form to fill out of some sorts. That is typically what a business website looks like in today's world. But the problem comes from, where are they in Google? Do they even exist? Let me show you how you play it in Google. Now, if you head over to Google, chances are you're going to see this on pretty much every search that you do. You are going to have 2 areas of pay-per-click in which you can pay to have results almost immediately. Those 2 locations are going to fall into the shaded region at the top of the search results. And again, over on the right-hand column, that is where the ads will take place. And again, they're simply pay-per-click. You can put some money into the account, and literally in minutes you can have your ad up there and you can be at the top of whatever search term you choose. But the coveted place is the natural placement, and chances are that is primarily where you click when you visit Google in the first place yourself. Whenever you're searching for something and looking for a new product or a new service, that's where people click and that's where people want to be. But what does Google look at when they're trying to rank people and give them that natural placement? Well, just from experience, we know that Google typically will look at about 200 things that has to do with every single website that comes through, with every single page that is submitted in the internet world. Now again, they keep this information proprietary, so it's not something that they literally just kind of spell out in a guidebook that you can use. But just from working it, we know that they rely on certain things, and by working with certain situations, the ranks for Google for your searches to end up in Google are going to appear and are going to actually come across in a much easier way. We know, for instance, that Google looks at longevity. How long has your site been in existence? Did you start it today? Or have you been around for 3 or 4 or 5 years? When did you purchase that domain name? Google also likes activity because it doesn't want to give ranking to someone that hasn't created any content or done any changes to their site, let's say in 3 or 4 years. They don't even know if you're a live company anymore, so they like activity. They also like keywords because if what you're writing on your blog or on your website, on your web presence, matches what people are typing into Google, again, they're going to give you more credit because that's what they're trying to do, is enhance the user experience. They want to give whatever the user is searching for, they want to give the best results possible. So not only are they looking for those keywords, but they're also looking for quality information. Because of course spammers figured it out years ago that if Google was ranking based on keywords, the more keywords you use, the higher up you would come in Google. But that's not what the end user wants. The end user wants quality information. So again, it's going to kick out a lot of the people that do what we call keyword stuffing, and they're going to reward people that write with quality information. They're also looking for what we call an authority site, meaning not only do they have a lot of content and a lot of activity going on their own site, but if you head out into other domain names, into other companies and other sites that exist online, people are talking about you as well. So the more authority you have, again, the more high ranking you are going to see in Google itself. And of course, it all winds up to fresh content because fresh content is truly the king in Google's eye. Google likes content. They like when you're adding content on a regular basis and you're very active and your site's changing all the time. So the more you do it, the more high ranking you are going to appear in the Google search engines. Now let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's look at it from company number 2. So company number 2 decides to build a website, but not just any website. They choose the WordPress blogging platform. And yes, 1 in 4 sites today are built on a WordPress blogging platform because of its power. Let's talk about that power. So with a WordPress platform, you can create a site that looks just like anybody else's site out there in existence, but it gives you what's called a blogging feature, and that allows you to add content whenever you choose to do so. And every time you create content, it's going to add a new page to your site. So let's take this as an example. Company number 2 decides to put up a WordPress site. Then they start adding content. Since they're a plumber, they add their first blog post and they choose to write on how to find the best plumber in California. Now, do you think that's something that someone would search for in Google? You bet they do, and they search for things like that all the time. So this plumber goes out there and they search for, or they write a blog post on this particular topic, and then they decide that they're going to start writing content on a weekly basis. So for the first week, they fill in how to find the best plumber in California, but then they continue on with that, and they write on things like, do you need a sump pump in your basement? And pros and cons of using chemical drain cleaners, and how to buy a tankless water heater. Again, do you think people that are using plumbers are typing this into Google today? You bet they are. They're doing this all the time. And this plumber knows it, so they're adding content on a regular basis. So at this point, if we go back to company 1, they have 5 pages and they've left it sit there. But this company has 5 pages that they created for their original site, but they're also adding a new page every single week of a post, a blog post that's adding fresh content every single week on their site. So now all of a sudden, they have exceeded and gone beyond the 5 pages because they've also added 4 posts, which in addition add the pages. So now they're up to 9 pages of content. They've almost doubled their site in 1 month. Pretty cool, huh? The key is if they keep at it at this rate, they are going to have 17 pages of content after just 3 months. And that's only blogging once a week. And if they keep going, 6 months later, they will now be up to 29 pages of content. And let's take it out for a whole year. If they blog once a week for an entire year, they will be up to 57 pages of content. Now, how do you think company 1 feels back there with 5 pages when this company now has 57 pages of content? And it's all very quality information that people are physically searching for. Let's take it one step further, and let's say that this company gets so excited about it that they decide to boost up their rate to twice per week. Now all of a sudden they have 109 pages of content. Again, pretty powerful, huh? Now, who would you rather be? Which company do you think is gaining more traction in Google? Do you think it's the one website with 5 pages of content? Or do you think it's the website with 109 pages of content? Who does Google love more? Is it that page, that original company with 5 pages of content? Or is it this new one that's built on a WordPress platform, that's blogging on a weekly basis, twice a week, and they have now created well over 100 pages of content. And each of those pages is very specifically geared towards what people are searching for online. That's right, Google loves the one with the content. It loves fresh content. Now, if we go back to the company number 1, who just has 5 pages, again, maybe one of their pages is typed in testimonial. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never gone into Google and typed anything like testimonial or services or anything generic like that. Because when we go to Google, we automatically know that we want very specific results, that we know what we're looking for. So if we're in California and we have a problem with our plumbing, we are going to go into Google and we are going to type in how to find the best plumber in California. Okay, and that's going to give us those search results that we expect, that we want to click on and that we want to move forward with. So now let me ask you another question. How will you reach more of your clients searching in Google? Are you still back at the 5 pages with just a generic website? Or are you creating quality content on a regular basis? By now you might be asking, okay, great, I get it. I understand. I need more quality content. I'm very excited about what you've presented here. But where do I go from here? How do I do this? What's the next step? Well, let's talk about company number one. If company number one wants to take action and wants to move forward with this concept, the first thing they need to do is they need to create a blog, because you have to have some way that you can be adding content on a regular basis. And you can't just do that with the old traditional programming type of website. Again, that takes time and energy, because as you're creating content, you have to submit it to your webmaster, and they have to create new pages, and they have to put the content in. And again, it's a lot of work to do. And a lot of time and a lot of money on your part too, because you're always going to be in reliance of that other person. Which is, again, why I always recommend WordPress, because it's easy. Once it's set up, you have access to the back-end system, so you can very simply, if you are used to typing in Word, you have the same ability in the back end of a WordPress blog system. You can drop in the content, you can be creating posts or pages on the fly with full of quality content. But the starting point is you need a blog. You have to create it. So I always recommend starting with a WordPress blog and updating your web presence. From there, you have to provide readers what they really want to read. So of course, you have to know what your visitors really want to read, right? So you need to go out and ask them, or find out online in different search engine results. You can head to places like Google and Amazon, and you can find out what they're physically typing in. You need to get inside their minds and figure out what questions they have, or what concerns or what problems they have, and why they're going to Google in the first place. What are they typing for? Because whatever they're typing for, you need to be there. So once you figure that out, once you know what they want to read, you have to choose those keywords very, very closely. And it's not something that you're looking for wide description of who you're trying to reach and what you're trying to reach out for. Again, you need to think very niched, very narrowed. So you're writing to one specific person at a time, and you're helping them with their one specific problem. Those keywords should be based on that content. And from there, you need to write a very effective title, because the title is your starting point. It's what Google looks at from the very beginning. It's what determines what a lot of your meta tags and your optimization techniques. If you've ever heard the term search engine optimization, this is your starting point. So your title is probably one of the most important parts of your blog posts. So you need to write them effectively, and you need to choose them very carefully. Once you have them in place, then it's time to create the content. And you need to create content that is both readable to your visitors and readable to Google, because Google will be spidering through it, and it will be pulling out those keywords and seeing where it should rank you within its search results itself. When you're writing with personality, again, you're also giving your visitors a reason to come back again and again. If they really like what you have to say, they will be back, and that's the power of it. From there, you also want to make sure that you're putting it into WordPress in a proper manner. So that means using the proper SEO plugins. That means using the proper categories, the proper tags. Are you including graphics and photos and images? And are you properly meta tagging them and putting them in for maximum effect? All of that needs to take place, because the more you work with this, the more you do with this, the greater the benefit's going to be. And of course, once you have all this great content in your blog, then it's time to really get active online and start feeding it to your other social sites. Now, a lot of people always say, I really can't wait to get on LinkedIn or Facebook or Google Plus or, Twitter or one of those sites, and they set up all kinds of accounts and then they don't use them. By creating blog posts and fresh content again and again, now all of a sudden you have quality content that you can be feeding to all your other social sites, and you can be directing people back and forth and sharing information. And that's where the real power lies. That's what makes blogging so powerful. Once you've done all this, then you need to rinse and repeat. You need to do it all over again, because creating one a week is great. It's great getting that content out of there. But remember, Google likes people that add fresh content all the time. So you need to develop your strategy where you're adding content on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, and that you're doing it again and again. That's the power behind blogging. That's what's going to make you a success and rank high under the search results that people are truly looking for. Now I have included right here, right below this presentation, a download to our free guide that will walk you easily through this process. So I will give you all of this information and share with you the process and the strategy behind why you need to create a blog, why you need to create your titles, and then how, just the logical order of putting it all into place. So it's an easy reference guide you can keep right beside your computer and use it every time you start blogging. But I also want to give you another scenario. Let's talk for just a moment about company number 2. Company number 2 decided that they didn't have time for all that, and they chose to hire thesocialghost.com instead. Because what we do is we create the content and you get all the credit. That means when we create the content, it goes onto your blog, it goes into your strategy, into your marketing, and you can use it now and as long as you are in business into the future. It's your content, you get the credit. If you hate writing, and we know a lot of people do, they just sit down and literally go through brain freeze. We do all the writing for you. You don't have to come up with the subject matters. You don't have to come up with the titles. All of that's done for you. And if you don't have the time to write, which we know, if you're a small business owner, you're very busy in yourself. You have different hats on all the time, and you're always trying to fit one more thing into your busy day. So what if you simply don't have the time to write? We write every week, guaranteed, on the things your visitors want to read. So again, you just get all the credit. It just appears for you. It just works for you. We know how to find the titles your prospects are searching for. We know how to write with personality, and we do it for a lot of different companies every single week. We know how to write content that's attractable in Google. Again, we know where to look to find out what your visitors and what your potential clients are truly looking for. We know how to add proper search engine optimization techniques as we enter it into your blog. We always add photographs that are properly meta tagged and properly titled to help boost up your search engine results. We know what to add, we know where it goes, and we do it for client after client. So again, we don't have to think twice about it. We understand the order of how things are input and how they're going to impact your Google search results. We also know how to find and tag appropriate image to give you added boosts. We're working with this all the time. We know what people are out there searching for, and we know how to target it so that we can reach out and be there for you when your potential customers are looking for you. And that really is the power behind ghost blogging. If you're interested, we would love to talk with you further about your niche, about your industry, and the difference that ghost blogging can make for you.